The following is a non-profit horror story narration. The story, narrated with full permission and cooperation, is written and owned by the author, who is credited in the subject line and in the description down below, along with a link to the original story. This video may contain some material such as violence, creepiness, jump scares, adult language, and suggested content which may not be suitable for some viewers. Please support the official release, and viewer discretion is advised. Late Monday night, the police questioned me and Angela. First her, then me.
Hello, Mr. Hunter. I am Detective Wilson.
Hello, I mumbled.
Let us start from the beginning. What happened early last week?
He asked. I was walking home late last night from my job at Murphy's Liquor. Then suddenly I was jumped and a bag was put over my head along with duct tape around my hands. They threw me in the back of a trunk and drove at least 2 hours, I said, acting as if I was recalling a horrible memory.
Then what happened?
He asked. Then, once the car had parked, they took me out and walked me into a building and threw me on the ground, I said, pausing for a moment, keeping my act up.
Did they do anything to you?
He asked. Not really. They took the bag off of my head after a day or two. The cop's expression changed to surprise when I said that.
Did you see their faces?
He asked. No, they were wearing masks. But I did hear them say each other's names, I replied.
Do you recall their names?
He asked, hoping I would say yes. Some of them. I know one guy was called Joseph, another Brock, and the other was John, I said as I acted as if it was extremely hard to recall. They also called somebody Jacob, but I don't recall hearing the fourth voice very often after the fourth or fifth day, I said. This would match up how long forensics would estimate Jacob being dead. His expression changed, though, as he heard these 4 names. It went from surprise to complete shock. Also, from the way they talked, it sounded as if the guy named John was the leader or something.
Did you hear anything else?
He asked me, with his expression going back to normal. Yeah, around the 4th or 3rd day, I recalled the sound of a man's muffled scream. After hearing that for hours, though, I heard a loud thud from the top level, I said.
Top level? Do you know what type of building you were in?
He asked. After all, me and Angela had escaped at night. I never got a good look at the building, but it had a lot of boxes and crates. There was a lot of empty space, and it looked as if the wood the building was made of was rotting, I answered. I think I also saw stairs leading up to somewhere, but I can't recall clearly.
Any other details about the place you were held? Or about your abductors?
He asked me. I acted as if there was something I remember that truly disturbed me. Wasn't that hard either. After all, this specific memory did disturb me.
I think it was that guy they called Joseph. He whispered something in my ear, I said, shivering for the sake of making my act believable. He said he couldn't wait to eat me. He was quiet as he thought and wrote in the notepad. After a while, he looked up at me. I hate to ask you this, but I need to know how you escaped along with the girl, he said. I swallowed and took a deep breath. Tonight, 2 of them, I think it was Brock and John, left the building. Then the 3rd guy fell asleep. While he was asleep, I used his keys to cut the duct tape and went up onto the upper level to save that little girl. Then I locked the car and hotwired it. After that, I threw the key out the window, I said. Why? He asked, curious. Honestly, I don't know. Probably out of habit, I said. Habit? He said, even more curious. I'm not really too proud of this, but I live on the criminal side of town. There has been plenty of times I had to get away and I didn't have my keys on me. What happened after that? He asked. Then I drove straight to the police station, I said. How did you know the little girl was on the top floor? He asked. I heard her sobbing for the last few days. After that, the interview came to a close, and I slept. Then on Tuesday, when I got home and found the brick, I spent the next hour searching the house, armed with a dinner knife. I didn't find anyone, but I would doubt myself before doubting them. They were crazy after all. I spent most of the day armed with a dinner knife, looking for them over and over again. Eventually I took care of the mess and cleaned up my small apartment. Soon after that, though, the police showed up. They knocked on my door rather hard and yelled for me. I immediately came to the door. After all, I knew I hadn't left any evidence behind. I have been very careful touching everything with my clothes or something, rather than the things which needed to have my fingerprints on them in order to corroborate my story. On top of that, my face was covered when I killed that kid at the store, and the car was parked outside of the view of the security camera. On top of that, I had been reported as a missing person, which made me being a victim that much more likely. As I opened the door, I saw the police had their weapons drawn. They saw me and ushered me to the police car rather quickly. Then they searched my whole apartment. Detective Wilson was there. He came to talk to me after they ushered me into the car. I'm sorry about this, Mr. Hunter. There is enough evidence linking your abductors to a group of serial killers. That's why I need to ask you this, he said as he showed me pictures of John, Brock, Joseph, and Jacob. Did you ever catch a glimpse of them? Only that one, I said, pointing to Joseph. He slept without his mask on last night. He sighed heavily, as if he had just gotten the worst news in the world. That's what I thought. How's the case coming? I asked, curious on how far the police have gotten. He was hesitant at first, but after a few moments, he looked around briefly and started to speak. Our guys found the warehouse and a shack containing their plans, he replied. That's all I can tell you. Thanks. It means a lot, I said, still acting. The rest of Tuesday was kind of normal. I was held in protective custody, as was Angela. The group wasn't known for letting anyone get away. Everything was relatively normal today. That was until this evening, after everyone had gotten home. I was flipping through the channels when I stopped on the news channel. I sat there and watched it for a while before something happened. Suddenly the news broadcasting stopped, and a video was now playing. "Greetings, citizens of the East Coast," a familiar voice said. "Your police are working so hard to stop us and find us. So we thought it was only fair we only applied the same amount of effort." Then I saw the person behind the voice step in front of the camera. It was John. You see, originally we planned on only killing the whole neighborhood. But now we decided something different. Why limit ourselves to only a neighborhood? That's right. We plan on going bigger. The whole city is our target, he said, using hand gestures and tones of voice to make it even more creepier. Obviously, we won't be able to kill everyone, but we definitely will aim for at least the fourth of the people in the city, he said with a delighted expression on his face. And in the spirit of being fair, we'll tell the police when the killings will start. February 9th, 9 o'clock at night, he said with a slight giggle at the end. He turned his back to the camera and started walking away when he suddenly turned around. Also, if I were you, I lock all my doors. Then the broadcast shut off, and it went back to normal broadcasting. It didn't suit them to do such a thing, and on top of that, no one had such skill to pull off such a horrific event, right? I had spent enough time with them to know that specific time was just a random time they picked. The killings would happen all day tomorrow. And I'm sure they will come for me. It was then when a police officer came in and gave me a note. I thanked him, and I looked at the note. We're coming for you. We'll save you for last.